Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Game Night. I'm Jella Gonzalez, your host for tonight, and we have Nadine Pasis and Bill
Hey.
Nuevo back from our Dragon Ball Fighters episode.
I'm back for another fighting game.
We have our fighting game expert again here with us, and
There's a pattern starting to develop.
he doesn't have his arcade stick tonight, so
You see the smiles on your faces?
I am pretty pleased.
Okay.
Nadine's happy.
I'm happy.
What are we playing tonight?
Street Fighter 5
Street
Arcade
Fighter
Edition.
5 Arcade Edition, and we're gonna start it up. We're gonna show you first the opening movie.
Because I like
a while
cutscenes.
ago.
By the way, this was revealed at the end of Capcom Cup 2017.
I can imagine the hype.
After Mena RD was crowned the champion. So Yoshinori Ono comes on stage, like, "Hey guys, you want to see something cool?" And then
Shows.
first he shows the Sakura trailer, which is something everyone's been waiting for, and then he shows us this, which we'll get to in a bit. Has some really nice things in store for everyone.
Have you been keeping track of the Street Fighter story?
Yes.
So, okay.
Yes.
Because if you're a casual fan, you just know that Ryu's the good guy, and then and Bison's the bad guy.
I like the cherry blossoms.
If you're gonna
Sakura.
notice, this is all set up like a stage play.
Yeah, it is.
And that's a brand new character, Colleen. Introduced in Season 2, and you've actually seen her before because she is Guild Secretary from Street Fighter 3.
Ooh, okay.
DLC character also.
No, Rashid is one of the 4 new characters in Vanilla Street Fighter 5. And so is Laura, who happens to be the older sister of a character from Street Fighter 3.
I like how they're bringing
one?
family and side
Sean.
characters together.
Oh, Sean. It's
Ken's
like Ryu,
pupil.
right?
Yeah,
Okay.
Ken's pupil.
I like how they're bringing
Oh, there's a good
characters like related to the originals. Like not just out. And who is she?
That's Minot. She is a student of Rose from Street Fighter Alpha and Street Fighter 4.
Okay.
This one's a brand new character. His name is G, so we don't know a lot about him yet. That's
Looks
Zeku.
like
That's Zeku. Pretty much, if you believe that particular line of thought, he is the first Strider. And Abigail.
before Strider hear you.
Yeah.
Why is his name Abigail? That's his real name, right?
I have no idea. Anyway, Cody makes a return from Street Fighter 4
Nice.
and is all cleaned up.
Oh wow! What a transformation.
I mean, you've seen Cody's previous incarnation,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
prisoner outfit, pinstripes. And of course, everyone lost their minds when Sagat came on.
Oh my god.
Still rocking that butt chin.
Still getting his ass whooped.
Yep.
by Ryu. But he's not in the game yet, right?
He'll be, he is the last DLC character of Season 3.
So right now it's just Sakura.
Yeah, Sakura's the
Just
first one.
Sakura.
She
Blanca's not out yet.
came out the same day that Arcade Edition launched. Blanca is the next one, I believe. Then you have, yeah, that
There we
girl
go.
standing right next to Ed Falca or something. I'm not quite sure how her name's pronounced yet. She's coming in as the third one. Cody's the fourth, so full disclosure, I've been using Cody since Street Fighter Alpha and Street Fighter 4. He's technically my main in those games.
He's your main.
And I have to wait till probably the middle of the year at best to actually use Cody.
So
Alright.
beware and start practicing against Cody, even
Arc-
though he's not out yet.
Arcade edition. What's the difference between arcade
It's
edition and
the
the
More
vanilla
or
version?
less,
version.
the version of Street Fighter 5 that should have been out at launch.
Exactly. I've actually reviewed Vanilla SFV, and I've spoken with a couple of people from the FGC community and was asking their opinions, and they was like, why is there no arcade version? And that was actually what I was looking for as well, because I have no little to no experience with fighting games, and so I was hoping that okay, at least after the story mode, I'll try going through the arcade before going through the online fights, and there wasn't an arcade mode.
So what are these? This is the arcade mode, right?
It's very bare bones. Okay, the cool thing about Street Fighter V's arcade mode is that you don't get just one path to go through, like a series of battles. You get to choose from different paths or selections that basically chronicle the history of the Street Fighter series itself, minus the EX games because they were developed by someone else. Alright, so let's move to the top of the menu.
Street Fighter 1.
Street Fighter 1, of course, all the descriptions are there. This one came out in 1987, and if we were going to play this accurately, according to the arcade game itself, we'd only be using 2 buttons, and the special command inputs would be, like, incredibly hard. So it's still your normal Hadouken motion, but the timing on it, the frame timing on it, and the inputs would be like super precise for you to get it properly. Let's move on to Street Fighter 2, of course. This is the one that started it all. Sometimes, and this is true, I also believe this, like, Street Fighter just came into my consciousness as Street Fighter 2, and I never really thought about the first one.
And this is what you played as well, right?
For many people, that's
Everyone
how it was,
started
right?
on Street Fighter 2. This is, of course, what gave birth to the fighting game genre itself. I know others have come before, but this is where it just
blew
really
up.
came into its own. There was not a single arcade in any mall that you went to that did not have Street Fighter 2, and of course, it's
who knows how many tokens this game has.
It's various incarnations. You've got Street Fighter 2,
Hyper.
Street Fighter 2 Dash, Street Fighter 2 Turbo, Champion Edition, Super Street Fighter, Super Street Fighter 2, then Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, then Super Street Fighter Hyper Fighting. Okay, and then of course the most recent was Ultra Street Fighter 2, which was the final. Like,
that was the HD version.
Yeah, the one on Switch. So you have that. I'm losing breath just
going through Street Fighter 2.
Okay, it took a while for Capcom to actually start counting to 3, but before they even got to 3, they released Street Fighter Alpha, which, okay, it was known for a couple of things. It had a very anime-ish art style, and it was a prequel of sorts to Street Fighter 2. It comes chronologically. It actually comes in between Street Fighter 1 and Street Fighter 2, and it's story heavy compared to those other 2 games. And let me see, Street Fighter Alpha 2, I think, is the one with the canonical ending for Ash. Nash, I mean, for Nash, that leads to what his appearance is here in Street Fighter 5. And then other things that Street Fighter Alpha did, well, a whole bunch of things, like custom combos, and Street Fighter Alpha 3 had, of course, selectable fighting styles and a really, really amazing announcer. And what else? Really good soundtrack. It's a very underrated soundtrack, that game. Moving on to Street Fighter 3, this one caused a lot of controversy when it came out, because a lot of people were just freaking out, like, where are all the classic characters? Why is it only Ryu and Ken? And who's this new guy who's supposed to be the protagonist? Because, of course, in Street Fighter 3, Alex was supposed to be the main guy. Right. But due to fan demand, Ryu and Ken were brought back, but the rest of the cast was just all new characters. It took a while for them.
Chun-Li was there, right?
She was only added in Third Strike. So it took like 2 more years before they added another character. And in Second Impact, which was the second iteration of the Street Fighter 3 series, they added Akuma in. So yeah, you had New Generation, then Second Impact, Third Strike. Third Strike, of course, known as the game where you get the Daigo parry, or where you saw the Daigo parry. Look it up. Evil moment number 37.
Saw that.
Alright, so Street Fighter 4 was dormant for like nearly a decade, and it came back with Street Fighter 4, which brought everything back to basics. They brought back the classic cast, of course, introduced some newcomers, made the controls a little more lenient, and then they introduced a new mechanic called the focus attack, where you can absorb 1 hit and then still hit your opponent back in retaliation. And counters would, you know, lead to other opportunities to lay more pain. So this came out in 2008 in arcades, but only released officially on consoles in 2009. And then, just like Street Fighter 2, it had a bunch of versions. You had Super Street Fighter 4, That's Super Street Fighter 4 Arcade Edition. And then Arcade Edition was wildly unbalanced. I mean, it favored a couple of members of the cast. So they released Arcade Edition 2012, which was a fix. And then in 2014, they released a definitive edition of it, which is, yeah, Ultra Street Fighter 4.
Okay.
So,
and now we are at Street Fighter
5, which the reveal of this was actually through a leak. The trailer just made its way onto the internet, and like, okay, Street Fighter 5 is a thing. And full disclosure, this was the reason why I got a PS4 in the first place.
Oh, good.
Alright.
So now we're gonna try the game out for ourselves. We played a few rounds.
Played a couple. I played the vanilla version, and
Lily's played a lot of rounds. I
obviously,
reckon. Obviously.
that's why we brought him here.
I kind of don't want to
Okay.
look at my play records, like how many hours I put into this game.
Okay, so let's try to finish the arcade mode of Street Fighter 5.
Yeah.
Street Fighter 5.
All right, so
So that's the main difference among the Street Fighters in the arcade mode. The number of battles you get to
yes,
Okay.
yeah, just that, and also the character selection. If you, of course, go to Street Fighter 1, you're going to get the skimpiest selection of characters. You get people like Ryu.
Let's go for Sakura.
It's not available.
Oh, how come?
Probably because you may.
You probably
Into it.
started it through a different account,
Yeah, so you can't probably access her yet. So
not through this account.
Yeah. I'd
let's
say
just
let's
do
go with
Ryu.
yeah.
Okay,
Ryu or Ryu?
Ryu.
Right?
Ryu.
okay. In Street Fighter 5 Arcade Edition, you now have the option to choose
The V trigger.
2 V triggers.
Yes.
His first V trigger, of course, Denjin Rinki, is one where he basically powers up his Shoryuken and Hadouken, charges them with electricity, and yeah, other properties are also changed, like yeah, recovery, and a bunch of other things.
And this one.
V Trigger 2 is interesting because it is basically a parry that complements his V skill, which is also a parry. But this time, if you land it properly, he emits a shockwave, and then that causes a crumple stun on your opponent, which also leads to big damage and combo opportunities.
Okay. So let's go for V trigger 1.
Yeah.
All right. As much as we'd like to show off V Trigger 2,
It is. It sounds kind of tricky.
it's
to pull off.
tricky. You
Yeah.
need to be confident with your timing.
Yeah.
Although, when seen in action and in the hands of people that know what they're doing, V
Not him.
Trigger 2 is awesome.
Round 1.
Wow.
Oh, we're on a play.
Whoa.
Fun fact, this stage is banned in most competitive play,
Why?
Why?
in most tournaments.
Why?
Well,
Gets dizzying.
I mean, you'll experience it in a few seconds once the plane starts turning wildly.
Oh. Okay.
So what we'll do is, if I get defeated,
I take
You
over the
get to play.
controller and
I just know the basic moves. Let's have Billy show off some of the meaner combos.
yep.
You've got V Trigger activated, or, you know, just kick him out.
So the V trigger thing, that's mostly special skills
Yes,
that are
it's
unique to each character.
with V triggers, yeah, it's usually a special attack or a powered up state, or some other unique gimmick that's tied to every individual character. In Ryu's case, of course, yeah, it's a power. First one is a power up. The second one is a
Parry.
more powerful parry.
How do you fill up the bar?
You do it by using your V skill, which is medium punch and medium kick at the same
Yeah.
time. That's his V skill, the parry. And you use that continually, you're going to fill up your V gauge, which is right above, of course, the critical gauge.
So you
Or-
don't fill up the V trigger with just normal attacks.
Normal attack, that's
No.
not-
You fill up your V gauge 3 ways. Your V skill, you take damage, or if you land crush counters.
Okay, you get to choose between Mika or Laura.
Crush counters. What are those?
Okay, crush counters are, of course, counter hits that are tied to specific buttons or certain attacks on characters, it varies. And when you land those, of course, you get special hit effects. Like some people could spin out, others would be stunned right on the spot with a crumple, and others.
That's a very revealing costume, by the way.
Others could be, others get thrown into a juggle state. If I'm not mistaken, during the Grand Finals of EVO 2016, of course, it was Infiltration versus Fudo. Fudo was a Armika main, and here's the thing. The EVO Grand Finals were broadcast on ESPN.
Okay. And were there issues with the costume?
They had to... Okay, word going around was that, yeah, they had to make Fudo change Mika's costume into something
more
more modest.
That would fit the...
For the advertisers.
Yeah. Advertiser friendly.
Yes. Good thing her story costume is like a unitard that covers most of her. So that works. By the way, what you just saw from Jello was one of Ryu's new additions for Arcade Edition. He gets his donkey kick from Street Fighter 3 back. It's well, the Japanese name is.
Is that the downward kick? That
no, it's the step inside kick. And the Japanese name is the Jodan Sokutogeri, and you use the EX version of that, by the way, by of course hitting 2 attack buttons at the same time. If you land that, of course, you get a wall bounce from your opponent, and then you can follow up with another attack.
Going back to Armika, I heard they did something to Sakura's costume as well. They had to make
it
the
more
underwear more conservative or something.
It's always been always been like that. I mean, that's always been her costumes have always been like that. Right? Of course, one of the first combos you'll probably learn ever in Street Fighter is jumping heavy kick and sweep.
There we go again.
So do players just discover the combos for themselves? Is that how they do it? Or do they do the tutorial or the trial?
I never went through the...
If you have...
Do the combos?
I guess if you have very basic... or
understanding.
If you have an understanding of how fighting games and combo systems work, you can just dive right into training and figure out how to go from there. But yeah, if you're just really starting this, I would say do the first couple of lessons in trial mode, and then go onto the internet. This is the same thing I said.
So it's the same thing basically.
Because these days, yeah, the wealth of resources is right there. Back then, when you were learning how to play a fighting game, you only had your local community, your group of friends, and yeah, maybe players from other towns or cities whenever you'd meet for like tournaments and stuff. Now, of course, you can look on Twitter, you have forums, you have YouTube. You have YouTube, which is a fantastic resource because there are people who will explain everything and make it digestible for beginners.
What do you have a YouTuber to recommend?
Let me see. There is Raphael, who works for Shoryuken. He does some really nice tutorials. Who else would I recommend? On the beginner level, yeah, start off with Raphael, and then even Capcom's own character introduction videos are pretty cool. The ones written by Matt Edwards. So he doesn't really get into deep, but does a very basic introduction on what characters can do, and then the rest is for you to figure out. Other Street Fighter YouTubers. I would say look up this guy named Nurse Lee. Nurse Lee. Yeah, like Nurse
and Lee.
Yeah.
Okay.
He does metagame stuff. Not just Not just combos and character breakdowns, but basically what kind of mentality you need. He also gives you advice on the kind of mentality or mindset that you need to succeed in Street Fighter.
Wow. Okay. So these are. So you would say that for those who are really serious into getting into Street Fighter, Nurse Lee would be a good source for them as well.
Yeah, definitely. And probably just don't depend entirely on mind word too, because start off from those three, and then you just think you'll just find a treasure trove of people, and then just find one who suits your taste the best. And you just move from channel to channel, figuring out what you need to learn and work on. And by then, if you're like trawling YouTube for all your Street Fighter and other fighting game videos, I would say create an account, save them as playlists, organize everything.
This game is harder to...
Why do I feel like that's what you did?
This game is harder to bottleneck.
Yeah, that's true. It's one of the things I noticed is that it's easy to get into, but you really have to come in with the
the button presses and the timing.
Like you have to understand the combos and everything, as opposed to when I played Tekken 7, I could just, get away with button mashing. With this one, when I was trying it out and trying it with different opponents.
Dragon Ball Fighters. That has an auto combo system.
Yeah. You can't pull it off with Street Fighter 5.
But I've been seeing people do crazy combos on Dragon Ball Fighters.
Yeah, I've seen some crazy things. You've been retweeting a lot of these things that I've been seeing. I did notice the one.
I've been posting a lot of. I've been retweeting a lot of tech that I find.
Yeah. I did see one where they were showing off that there's, even if you hit the feet, like in the animation, it's not gonna it's not gonna be counted as a hit.
Yeah, it's a little problem with the Beerson's hitbox.
Yeah.
But anyway, moving on back to Street
Yeah, I was like, okay, hang on.
Jello is fighting Nikali, one of the newcomers for Street Fighter 5, who is basically wearing V's all around. I mean, his entire...
What are those?
The scars on him come in the shape of V's, and when he goes into a V trigger, yeah, they light up. He also basically goes Super Saiyan.
Yeah, I've seen this guy in story mode. It's kind of a crazy dude.
Oh wow.
He's all like, I want to devour your soul, something like that.
Alright, you've got V trigger.
Okay.
Activate it. That changes his fireball, his Hadouken, and his Shoryuken. Powers them up with electricity.
Don't die.
And the other really cool thing about this is if you
So that adds extra damage.
Yeah, turns the Shinku Hadouken into the Denjin Hadouken. And oh yeah, one more added property of his powered up moves is they do more stun damage. Of course, there's that little bar under your health gauge. That's the stun meter. You fill that up, and yeah, you stun your opponent.
Which one? That bar below the health bar?
Yes. But in other Street Fighter games, it would usually be invisible. But in
that'll be actually more helpful.
In Street Fighter 3 and Street Fighter 5, they made it visible. And of course, you just need to back away in order to let your stun gauge cool down. Or use a V reversal, which is another thing that was introduced here.
Oh wow.
So depending on
Please
your character...
don't die. I don't want to take over and try to...
He got stunned. That's pretty much it for him.
Alright, now I have to take over and make it worse for everyone. It's okay, it gets worse before it gets better. So...
Oh, look at that face.
Your soul too will be devoured. Yes, continue.
The battle continues.
And then if you lose, Billy takes over.
Yeah, that's why I said it gets worse before it gets better.
So V reversal is basically a either a counterattack or it's a defensive option that you have in this game. Either you knock your opponent away or you do an evasive maneuver that puts you into a better position.
I'm gonna have to switch characters here.
That's fine.
go with Chun-Li.
Chun-Li.
行くわよ
Thunder
great.
Pie.
Have you seen the viral video of this Jackie Chan
Yeah.
who cosplayed as Chun-Li?
Yeah, that was from City Hunter.
Oh, okay, so I'm going against Alex and not Nikali. So things might change. I don't know.
Round 1. Fight.
I'd still say that Jackie Chan does rock a really sweet Chun-Li cosplay though.
Yeah, he does.
Plus, come on, let's admit it, he's got the legs for it.
Oh god, oh god.
Alright.
I'm doing a terrible job here. Yeah, I'm doing a terrible job here.
Okay, that's her V skill, which is basically a jump that hits you on the way up, and if you land it, you can follow up with other attacks.
You can't button mash this. You can't.
Round 2.
Yeah.
Fight.
Her lightning legs, quarter circle forward kick. So yeah, Hadouken motion and kick. And then for her Kikoken, which is her fireball, it's charge back, forward, then punch.
Like how I'm trying to be methodical about this.
Well, you're getting there. Start off with the basics. Okay, nice block.
Ah,
Okay, he's breaking your throws. At least you're keeping him away.
One more.
And
There.
yeah,
Nice, nice.
with the
nice,
basics.
Nice, nice.
basically
The normals.
You're using Chun-Li's trademark, which is pokes. Really good Chun-Li players will annoy you from a safe range. Usually with just the tip of her boot or her hand.
I will attempt that right now.
So she has great range.
Yes.
Oh god.
It depends on the balancing. In Season 1, she was really strong. She got nerfed in Season 2. I'm not quite sure with the changes in Season 3 yet. Because with every new season of Street Fighter V, or at least for the past couple of years, whenever they do a massive balance change, they release a PDF file that's dozens of pages long.
This
And
thing
if
what's
you're-
been nerfed, what's
yeah.
been buffed.
And if you're the type that really likes to follow changes for every character, people are going to
this
spend
is
hours
bad.
and hours reading it.
You can do it. A little
Almost
more.
there.
Just a
Don't
little
let him hit
Yeah, too eager. I was like, oh, I'm close. Let me just finish him now. Not happening. Your turn.
And
It's only
Billy
gonna get-
tags in.
It's only gonna get worse before it gets better. Yeah, you can't put a mash Street Fighter 5.
Nope, totally can't.
Nope, you don't.
There are characters where you can mash
Get a
to
wo-
get their special attacks, like Colleen. And,
The-
well, Chun-Li's lightning legs aren't mashing kick anymore, so you have to quarter circle forward kick to get that. Okay, who do you run with? We don't have access to the DLC characters.
Yeah.
But, okay. Alright, returning character from Street Fighter Alpha. Let's go with Nash. Someone that I've been using since Season 1. Never I actually played competitively. And, yeah, V-Trigger 2, which is really fun.
What does beat trigger to do?
Gives him a really fast forward-moving dash. And it can be followed up with either a somersault or this ground punch, which can even hit opponents off the ground,
Wow.
leading to juggles.
Okay. And his first one?
His first one is a teleport.
Round 1. Fight.
Still getting anti-air. So if you do a special move and hit 2 attack buttons instead of 1, you get the EX version of it, which is, of course, a powered-up version of it.
And that consumes 1 bar.
Yes. 1/3 of your critical damage.
Fight.
Do some characters have more V-trigger gauges than
Yes.
others? It depends on the character.
Yeah, it depends on the character and depends on the V-trigger chosen. Because Nash's V-trigger 1 actually has just 2 bars, so you get to use it more often during a match. Ah, okay, that's gonna get blocked. Okay.
You just jump through that.
Yep.
Nice.
So I hope I get to use V-trigger 2 here. Because it's led... I've been playing online using that particular V-trigger, and it's led to some really interesting combo opportunities for me. Also, it just generally gives Nash higher damage output than in V-trigger 1.
Oh, it's a bonus stage.
Yes.
Breaking barrels while he's CPU. Okay.
This originally came out in Street Fighter 2.
Yes.
This bonus
But it
stage.
didn't have a CPU character. All you had to do was just break
Break the
barrels.
barrels. What is the CPU supposed to do?
He's just there to distract you.
Okay.
And throw you off, basically.
He's not doing anything.
If you get closer, he will...
Try and
Those
do
attacks he's doing, yeah, he will throw you off.
Ow.
Okay, let's
Call
fight
it
against Zeku.
Zeku.
Zeku was the last DLC character for Season 2, and he's also been someone that I've been using a lot online since he came out. Really interesting mechanic he has. He can switch between his young and old forms.
Interesting.
And of course, they have different move sets.
Okay. And the difference might be.
Well,
I mean, the general difference
Old
would
Zeku
be-
is generally slower, but
But-
hits harder.
Okay.
And then with
Young Zeku.
Zeku, generally faster. You can also get explosive damage from him, but
Fight.
his defense kind of sucks.
I would like to know why that particular character in the background just started bowing 3 times. Anyways.
That is Karin's butler.
Oh, okay.
Or
How are you able to say that his defense sucks when he's younger? Like, don't you just push back to block?
Yeah.
How's one's defense?
well, defense isn't just blocking. It's just like getting out of situations and being able to maneuver yourself or
Being
knock
able to
opponents away.
Escape.
That's the totality of defense.
Okay. Some characters are able to move out faster.
Yes.
Will you be able to push this Zeku to switch to young Zeku so we could witness transformation?
I don't know. We'll see.
Let's see. But at the rate Billy's going, I think we're not gonna see it.
You did.
Oh, wow.
That's a fatality.
I didn't know we just stepped into Mortal Kombat right there.
Yeah,
That's
Nash has
badass.
one of the most brutal-looking critical arts in this game. It is, however, really satisfying to land.
Yes.
Okay, let's fight the
giant.
Abigail.
the biggest Street Fighter character.
Bigger than
to
Hugo.
date. Yeah, Hugo himself was pretty huge.
Have you seen this? Abigail?
Yeah, I've seen Abigail. I just wanted to know Abigail's story. He was like, why? Is he some sort of what is this? Experiment or something? I don't know.
No, he's just
Abigail.
He's just huge.
Yeah, he's just huge and his name is just Abigail. It's 2018.
Oh, he's a character from Final Fight.
Okay.
Part of the Mad Gear
He is
gang.
huge.
And wait, he's in V-Trigger 1, he gets even bigger
What?
when he's in VT1.
And he has a skill where he's like invulnerable, right? Even when he's moving.
Yeah.
Not against Billy. He just needs to roll.
Yeah.
And it hits.
You know,
He doesn't need to do like fancy movements.
I feel
I'm just
the
gonna
distinct
roll.
lack of a fight stick now.
Fight.
Yeah, I think he can pull it off without a fight stick.
It's turning red.
Can't tell
Or
if
is
it's
that-
the lighting
that's the lighting.
or... Ah, I wanted to see it.
Okay, your V reversal is, yeah,
Wow!
it's a,
How do you do
dash
that?
through that.
Triangle circle?
that is when you're in block stun, which means like the state you're in while you're blocking an attack. You can't move, right, when you're while you're blocking. You press either forward and 3 punches or forward and 3 kicks, and that is your V reversal. For Nash, of course, he teleports out of the way. Others, like Ken and Balrog, they'll just knock the opponent out of the way. Okay, let's fight Ken.
Yes.
Let me see. You can bait people into using V reversals, and they can actually be thrown out of it. And yeah, also by way of baiting people go into V reversal, you also deprive them of the chance to activate V trigger. Because
Just
yes, you're
strategic,
using. There's a tactical use to it, and yeah, you're depriving them of one offensive option. Because there are also characters that are heavily dependent on their V triggers in order to get optimal damage.
Yeah. See, I think that's the thing as well with Street Fighter that stands out is that every, or at least for me, from the standpoint of someone who's not really into it, at least I know that like every feature that they introduce has this strategic component to it. Like what Billy mentioned earlier, like you need to take note of a lot of things to really get this game, to really understand this game. It's not just who pushes the buttons the fastest, right?
It's also a matter of timing.
Yeah. A matter of timing, a matter of knowing when to pull off those strategies, like forcing the reversals.
Or in the case of characters like Ken, Ryu, and Mikali who have a short Yukin or a Dragon Punch, you can force them to do short Yukins and then punish them on the way down.
Exactly.
You did.
Yes! That is amazing! Oh god, poor Ken.
You win.
What happened to Nash though? With the
Okay, at the
Frankenstein
end-
like
At the end of Street Fighter Alpha 2, he was gunned down violently by a helicopter, and he fell down some waterfalls. And if you play his character story here in Street Fighter 5, minor spoilers, Colleen, who finds him, finds his dead body, says like, it was terrible, broken bones and blood everywhere.
Who brought him back?
It was Colleen and Urian.
Oh, that's right.
And they also use elements of another Street Fighter character, 12 from Street Fighter 3. Apparently those patches on him were based off of the technology used to create 12.
Yeah, I was gonna say, that's why we don't have 12.
Round one.
I'm the weird guy.
Fight.
You remember Kung Fu Hustle, right?
Yep.
You remember the two musicians that played the large string instrument?
What is happening at the background? Yep.
He looks like one of those guys, right?
Yeah, he does.
He walks funny.
Oh, you should. I've seen a crazier walk which Billy just showed me before we started this.
Round two.
Look at the background. It's a ninja.
I know. I've
and a
been.
robot
I was like,
running
what is
around.
happening at the back?
And Strider hear you.
It's like, look, see, there's even an astronaut chasing a ninja. Like, what? And it's just so fitting that we're fighting Fang. And we're like witnessing whatever the hell is going in the background there. Wow.
Wow.
Perfect KO. We never stood a chance.
Never stood a chance.
Win.
Anyway, arcade mode gives you the chance to post your score on an online leaderboard.
Oh.
Hey, look at that, Jello. You have your name. You have your chance to pick your name on the leaderboard.
Okay, so that is Ed.
It's the second to the last stage.
Also another Season 2 character. What's unique about him is that, okay, when you think Street Fighter special moves, it's either you mash a button, you do a motion, and then an attack button, or in the case of Guile, Bison, and Blanca, you charge, and then forward, and then attack button. Ed has no motion inputs.
He just does it. What does he do?
You either mash buttons, you hold and release.
You should have told me that he just mashes buttons so I could have picked him.
That's pretty unique.
So he's the easy version.
Yeah, one of his specials just involves you hitting 2 punch buttons.
Huh. Duly noted then. Oh, I like the music.
His
Japanese hip hop.
His is one of the few character themes that has lyrics in it. The other is Abigail's.
Oh, I didn't catch Abigail. Yes.
Yes.
Satisfying too much. And it's a perfect KO. I also like his pose at the end of it.
You win.
He's very edgy.
Yeah.
Would you be that cranky too if you were brought back to life?
After such a violent death.
Yes.
How's he related to Guile?
He is actually the guy who taught Guile how to Sonic Boom and Flash Kick.
Ooh.
They were, yeah,
Yeah.
they're BFFs in Special Forces.
Hey.
Even now, in his state? Or...
Guile is surprised to see him back. And of course, seeing
I
as
mean,
he is, like,
who wouldn't
Nash,
be surprised?
what happened to you?
Yeah.
What happened to your face?
Yeah. Who wouldn't be surprised with seeing
I
your
just had
BFF just brought back to life?
I had a bad
Being
day.
shot down
Yeah, by helicopters falling down the waterfall.
I had a bad day.
So M. Bison is still the final boss.
Yeah. He's still the big bad in this story. That's a crush counter right there. And if you get hit with a crush counter sweep, what normally happens is when it's a normal knockdown like that, you can hit a bunch of buttons to quickly get up. When it's a crush counter sweep, then that means it's a hard knockdown. It takes you a while to get up.
Oh wow.
This is annoying. Something got in my nose a while ago. I've had worse things happening to me while playing online.
Yeah, so I don't doubt your abilities here.
Oh, there's gonna be...
Oh wait, okay, I have
Come on,
V-Trigger
come
2
on.
now. Alright, let's...
Do it.
Okay.
It's okay, it's okay,
First
it's
loss.
okay.
First loss.
It's okay, it's not bad.
I was just wondering
Please
what the
don't
hell...
lose. Or else we'll have to cycle back.
I don't want to take a while going through this.
Yeah,
I hope not.
it won't. It won't. It won't.
I need my V trigger.
Alright. Almost there. Okay. Now's your shot.
Yes!
Yes! Oh god! Nice! That was close. That was close. That was close.
I didn't want to face Bison. No.
I was like, I have more
So
faith
our
in him
skill
than I have
level
faith
is
on you.
only up to stage
Stage 5.
4 or 5.
No, yours up to stage 5. I should have played first and then passed it on to you because I'm pretty sure my skill level will be up to stage 3.
Oh, nice. Comics.
Will drift off to eternal slumber in the arms of his friend. Excuse the friends?
Guile's arm.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Alright.
So when you finish arcade mode, you get to unlock ending illustrations, which, by the way, are done by the fantastic artists over at Udon Entertainment.
They've been doing the comics.
Yeah,
ever
they've been
since,
doing
right?
the comics, and I used to collect them until I lost them in the
Yuri.
flood.
Aww. Which one is this? Andoy, Millennial, which one?
Undoy.
Andoy.
Congratulations.
How's this?
And then you get
a
extra
new
art.
costume.
Yeah, you get extra artwork too.
Cool.
So you get
Thank
the
you for playing.
ending illustration, and then you get an extra piece of artwork, of course, done by Capcom's official artists. All really good. And I'm gonna share a little hint now. You can access them in the gallery. You can access them through there, and then go through the illustrations.
Where?
Arcade mode endings.
205.
So you can,
Go to Nash.
yeah,
And
or go back a bit. Go to movies, I guess. No? Where are the? Okay, arcade mode endings. And then just scroll through a whole
Special
bunch.
artwork, SF
Yes.
Legacy.
So what you can do is highlight that, of course, view it, and then hide guide, circle, and then that's an instant wallpaper for your PS4
Ta-da!
because you can capture that as a screenshot, right? And now that you know,
You can
with
set
the
it
current
up.
with the current firmware, you can set a custom wallpaper from your capture gallery.
Oh, okay.
Okay, thanks for that hint.
Cool.
I know what I'm doing tonight.
Don't
Shadow
tell-
of the Colossus.
Yes, yes, exactly.
Okay,
You heard
so,
it here.
guys, that was Street Fighter V Arcade Edition. We finished the game, but
The arcade.
without the arcade mode.
We couldn't have done it without Billy.
Yay!
Yay, Billy.
I am far from the best Street Fighter player. There are guys way
Yeah, but you
better.
are enough.
way better than me. Like
Okay.
skyscrapers above my skill level. By the way, shout outs to you guys who make the community a real tough place to be in, but I love it anyway. No, I mean, it's
Are
a-
there
it's-
upcoming tournaments?
it's the challenge. I mean, like there you have players that you go up against, you keep on losing against them, and like you can chalk up dozens of losses, but that very first time that you actually manage to beat them washes everything away.
It's like
It's
playing
a-
against a tough boss.
Yeah,
It's like playing Shadow
It's-
of the Colossus.
you know, it's like playing against a really tough boss, except that the boss just turns out to be a real person.
Yeah.
Right next to you whenever
Try
you
not to
play.
resent them, please.
Nadine, final thoughts on
Actually,
Street Fighter V?
at least from my community experiences, they'll congratulate you when you finally manage to beat them. And then like, and at least I'd like to think due to shifting attitudes, people are just really more helpful now. They will help you improve, but given that this is the fighting game community we're talking about, they will beat it into you first.
Uh-huh.
Like, you know those really strict martial arts masters, like, why did you not dodge my attack? You just keep on hitting you until you learn how to adapt to it. That's how it goes.
That's a different kind of discipline.
It's tough love. I love it anyway. So
Cool.
you were saying?
No.
You had
He asked me about Street Fighter V, and my thoughts from the arcade version to the vanilla version are still the same, of course. Not being too in-depth into this arena, definitely. But however, it still strikes me off as a game that should be easy to get into, but you really need to, as Billy mentioned earlier, to train yourself for it. And I think just a general comment on the fighting game community, at least locally, I've had my fair share of getting to know them, getting to witness different tournaments, whether it's Street Fighter V, Tekken, or other games, just in general locally.
And soon Dragon Ball Fighters.
And soon Dragon Ball Fighters. Just in general, in a local sense, these people who make up the community are really great people. And I've seen different local scenes. I've seen different local scenes, and I think by far, even if I'm not into the genre itself, I really favor this community so much because they're just so nice and helpful and
Tight-knit.
And watching them play against each other, even though they're opponents, you know, one moment they're opponents, the next one when they're facing off a different opponent, they'll still be cheering for you. And they'll still be, you know, giving you high fives, good lucks, all that. It's just general good
It's like
camaraderie.
walking into a bar where everyone knows your name.
Yeah.
That's a Cheers reference.
Yeah, I mean, just as from an outsider's perspective, at least, kudos to how, I don't know how that type of dynamic was built into the fighting game community.
It was
but
born in arcades, basically,
Yeah.
where
That culture.
you reason why people are just so determined to win is they're putting money on the line.
that's true.
Quarters, tokens.
But the thing is, you are putting money on the line, but I guess comparing it to a different local scene, to different local scenes, it's just way more friendlier and easier to. It like for me, if I had the time to stay longer and get to know everything and get through the challenges of learning and getting better at fighting games. It's more worth it and it's less toxic, is what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
So
good.
your words.
My final thoughts.
Yeah, your final thoughts.
Okay, you guys have said a lot, but my final thoughts are the best part of Street Fighter V for me is watching a skilled player play the game. I love going through YouTube and seeing the skilled players
do
the combos.
That was in Honest Trailers also.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like the best part is watching people play on the internet.
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, it's the same thing for me. It's like the best part is just watching people go at it and then just hearing the hype and the energy and yeah.
Unless you have the time to really.
Unless you have
because
the
it's
time to
something that you
actually
have
learn.
to.
Yeah, you really have to invest
dive
time.
into.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Invest time in it. Yeah.
Okay. Other than that, again, thank you for watching. Thank you for staying with us as we played through the arcade mode of Street Fighter V Arcade Edition. This has been Jello Gonzalez.
This is Nadine Passis.
And this is Billy of 99.5 Play FM. Keep practicing.
Signing out.
See ya.